Tailwind version 4 is still quite new, and there are several ways you can use to install Tailwind into your project in 2025 as of today. You can install Tailwind version 4 using Vite. You can install Tailwind version 4 using PostCSS. You can use the Tailwind CLI, and you can use a CDN. In this video, I will be walking you through each of this method. So I'm going to be installing Tailwind CSS using each of these methods, cover every step, and highlight the benefits and the trade-offs for each method. So let's get right into it. All right, so this is the Tailwind documentation. So we have the installation using Vite, using PostCSS, Tailwind CLI, framework guides, and then using CDN. All right, let's start with using Vite. I have using the Vite plugin. So I have a Vite project here. Let me run my Vite project. So I have my Vite project here. It does not use Tailwind for now. So if I come to the app.txs here and I just remove everything here, let me just take out everything and I replace it with a header and a button that uses just a bunch of, all right, sorry, I need a fragment here. All right, and I just replace it with a bunch, an H1 and a button that just uses a bunch of Tailwind classes. Of course, this is not going to work. This is working because I have some, some CSS classes. So let me come here and take all of this out. So obviously this is no longer working. Let me come to my index.html, index.css, and remove all of the styles here as well. And of course, this is no longer working. The styles we put on here, they are all not working. Let me give this a D and let's flex it. All right, so this is not working. No style is working here because we are using Tailwind and we don't have Tailwind. All right, so let's use the first installation method. The first installation method will be, all right, so go to the documentation and we install this Tailwind CSS using npm. All right, let me bring this up a little bit. So let's open another terminal and let me run this installation command. So while it's installing, let's look for the next step. The next step is to add the Tailwind CSS Vite plugin to our Vite configuration. So we have the vite.config.ts file. So we import the Tailwind plugin here. For import, what's it called? Tailwind CSS. Let me just grab this. In our vite.config file, we just configure our Tailwind here. And then we add it to the plugins array here. And then we import Tailwind CSS in our root CSS file, which is our index.css. So let me go up here and just import Tailwind here. All right, I think we're done with our installation. Let's go and check if our Tailwind, boom, our Tailwind classes are working now. So look at that. So that's the first method for installing. So I'm going to create a GitHub repo that has branches for each of these installation methods. This Vite plugin will be a branch, so you can check that branch, and the other branch will be for another. All right, so using the next method, using PostCSS, I haven't installed the Vite plugin. I've reversed our project back to its pre-Tailwind CSS state. So now if we go back to the browser, we see that our style is no longer working. All right, so let's use the PostCSS method. We have to install Tailwind CSS and PostCSS plugin. Let's run that installation. All right, that is installed. And next thing we are going to do is to add our Tailwind to our PostCSS configuration. So we have to create our postcss.config.mjs file. Let me check if it really did install. We have PostCSS here. Let me just create the file. Let's just add this to our, I don't know why there's no copy. We are in charge of these docs. You should put it in. All right, so we add this in to our postcss.config.mjs file, and then we import our Tailwind CSS in our root CSS file here in our index.css. Let's go back to import Tailwind CSS, and let's see if we got it to work. Did it work? Why are you not working? All right, I execute the terminal and run it again, and it works with our PostCSS. All we have to do is just create this postcss.mjs file, install the PostCSS plugin, and import our Tailwind in our index.css, and that did it. So you're going to find the source code for installing via PostCSS on the PostCSS branch in the GitHub repo. All right, so moving on to using CLI, let's go to the docs. All right, so moving on to using CLI, let's go to the docs and we install Tailwind CSS CLI. All right, it's installing. What do we do next? We Tailwind CSS import to our main file. I feel like this step is in all of the methods. All right, it's fully installed now. What do we do next? We start the Tailwind CLI build process. We have to run this, but let's just add it to our script in our package.json. Let me add it here. Tailwind be equals. So let's run. All right, so let's run we've added the script to JSON, our package.json. Of course, our style is not yet working. So let's try to run this. npm run Tailwind. Oh, we don't have input.css. Our input is index.css instead. npm run Tailwind. It's compiled. Let's see. Not yet working. We have to use it in our HTML file, or we use it here. So let our roots let it use output.css. It will use output.css, not index.css. All right, our Tailwind classes work now, and that's about that with using CLI. And of course, if you want to run the CLI tool to scan your files and build your CSS, that's our npm run Tailwind. We have a script for that. We wrote a script for that here in our package.json. If you want to run it together with your dev server, you can use concurrently to set that up. All right, the last method is using the CDN. And right there on the doc, it's already said that the place CDN is designed for development purposes. So this method is not what you should use for production. All right. The CDN is very easy. We just add the scripts to the head of our HTML file and we start using straight away. So we are back at this point where our Tailwind classes are not working. So let's try to use CDN. Just go to your index file, index.html, and add the script here. And let's see if that starts working. It starts working immediately. I think that's the easiest one. But like we mentioned earlier, it is not meant for production. You can use it for development, but not for production. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, drop a comment, subscribe, turn on notification for more tech and coding content, and see you in my next video. Bye.